You guys, let me know if you can hear me. We're trying something new, and I think YouTube has this new feature where you guys can join the lives. Let me get somewhere with some light. YouTube has this feature where we can join the lives. You guys can join the lives with me. If you've been on TikTok live before, it's going to be very similar, but welcome. My name is Derek Ofadarunwa. My name is Duru Ofadarunwa. And I am the host of The Medicine Shell here on YouTube. If you are in the chat right now, comment below, say something below so I know that you're here. For those who are coming from Patreon, Patreon is not allowing me for some reason to post that I am live. I'm trying to get to where there's some light. I thought there was going to be light at this park. They turned the lights off about 30 minutes ago. I didn't know they had this rule. I'm not in my home state right now. I'm in a different place. Hold on. Let me find some light. Ultraviolet says hi. Hey, hey, Ultraviolet. Ultraviolet, where are you messaging in from? 7 already. Damn. All right. Once we get to 15 people, I'm going to go ahead and start. Let me find a place with some damn light. All right. Okay, we're getting closer. I guess I got to walk on the highway, which is a tragedy. I don't want to do that. But so be it. All right. All right, peace, fam. Chicago. Hey, Ultraviolet. Trump says he's coming for Chicago. What's going on over there? Hope you guys are safe. And I hope whatever they've got planned doesn't interrupt what you and yours got going on or make anything more difficult for you. But I heard them talking. I try to avoid the news. Last I heard, they kept talking about going to Chicago. You know, these people are obsessed with Chicago. Oh, them. Hello from Las Vegas. Udo. I have family in Las Vegas. I was just there earlier this year. Heard about that. I really hope not. Yeah. Like I said, hope it doesn't interrupt what you and yours got going on. But like I said, these people are really obsessed with Chicago. I was minutes away from moving to Chicago. Once we get 15 people in here, I'll go ahead and begin. Again, this is Derek Ofadarunwa. Duru Ofadarunwa. I'm trying to break old habits. Both names are fine, though. This is Duru Ofadarunwa with the Medicine Shell. This is Ask Me Almost Anything. Once I begin, you guys ask me any questions, I'll go ahead and answer. For those who don't know, I teach Odinani, sometimes known as Odinala, which is ancestral spirituality, cosmology, philosophy, all that. If you want to know how your ancestors lived, learned, prayed, connected to the universe, understood themselves, go ahead and let me know. Somebody says, send me a message. Give me just a second. Had me rethinking the DC trip. Yeah, I don't know what it's very juvenile too, right? Because once all the noise is gone, that's it. The noise is gone. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Odinani. Phoenix and there. Well, Phoenix, I've been trying to post something on Patreon for the past 30 minutes, and I don't know why Patreon won't let me, but it's supposed to be letting the Patreon people know. All right. Let me know if you can still hear me. It seems frozen. Yeah, I was cut out for a minute. Let me know if you can still hear me. Ndewono. I don't know why I'm not visible either. Can you hear me? I am not visible. Can you hear me? I guess this walk was not the best idea. Right. I'm saying hello too. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Uh, that's not cool. We can hear now. Yeah, okay, but why can't nobody see me? Why can't anyone see me? All right, you know what? We don't need to do all that then. Well, we can just talk. Once we get 15 people in here, we'll go ahead and begin. Somebody asked about Ifa. I don't teach Ifa, I teach Odinani. So think about Ifa, but from like the Igbo one, the Igbo spirituality. Ifa is Yoruba. Now there's a lot of similarity and overlap, right? There's a lot of similarity and overlap, but you know, if somebody told you they were the same thing, they wouldn't be too far off. But just because Igbo culture and priorities and Yoruba culture and priorities are different, we use it differently. We utilize it differently. So each perspective will give you a different look at the same concept. You were talking to me, but I missed the second half. Um, yeah, I don't even remember what I was saying. And I can't turn my camera on. I guess this walk was a bad idea. YouTube is trying to add new features to this live. So I don't know if it's part of the experiment that things are going crazy. I can't post links or anything, but in the future, you guys will be able to join the live with me and come and ask me questions live, which will be much easier for me because going and trying to check questions while answering questions is a headache. Ultraviolets. I study Isese. I come to his channel all the time, though, Udo. And there, well, if we had 3 more people in here, for those of you who do not know, again, I teach Odinani, which is Igbo spirituality. If you are interested in this topic, the best way to support the movement is to join patreon.com/the medicine shell. Join our community, the village. You get access to my full in-house library. By the way, if you're on Patreon and you haven't got a hold of the library, message me. I think everybody should have it or should have a link to it immediately when you come in. If you don't, then message me. These past few days have been very hectic for me. I'm in the middle of moving states. So there were probably people that joined that I didn't catch. I thought today was Saturday and ended up being Sunday. It's that bad. That's how bad the confusion is. I don't know why my video is not turning on, y'all. I don't know why my video is not turning on. I'm going to stop and try to turn this on. If we got one more person in here, we'll go ahead and begin, okay? Patreon.com/the medicine shell. Phoenix, thank you very much. I'm going to pin this message to the top. It is the absolute best place to go to support. We have a group study. Those of you on Patreon, I do apologize. We did miss the group study from today just because, again, I've been flying and I thought today was Saturday. And funny enough, I had a dream that was probably telling me, it was not even probably, it was definitely telling me, hey, wake up, you got to do something. But I ignored it. Never ignore your dreams. Never ignore your dreams. It's frozen on my end. Oh, what is going on? I guess this walk thing is not a good idea. I'm going to head back home. I'm going to head back to my base and see if I can just do it from there. I think that's the best idea. Okay, so some people said it was frozen. Is it still frozen? Is it still frozen? If it is not frozen for you, send a message. I am going to head back to where I have Wi-Fi and I'm going to use the Wi-Fi to communicate. So hopefully you guys can still hear me. Maybe, maybe not. Still can't see you. Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. I do not know what that is about. Trying to see what's going on. Guys, I may end the stream and try again. I may close the stream and try again. You do? Okay, cool. Ultraviolet, you're in the right place. Ifa is Isese. Yes, or Isheshe, I think they say. Isheshe. Yes. You guys, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm going to head back to, I thought I was going to take a walk today. I cannot take this walk. I don't think anybody can hear me. If you can hear me, hit the little heart button. If you can hear me, hit the little heart button. Shay Shay, yes. Okay, so that sounds like, okay, I see a little heart floating. The heart button must be broken because only one person can, or maybe one person can hear me. Maybe two people can hear me. Three people, four people, five. Okay. We can hear fine, but we can't see you. Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about restarting the live because I'm having a lot of air, like glitches and crazy stuff here going on. I wanted to take a walk and I thought I can integrate this, tricked us into hitting that heart button. There we go. We see more. We see more. I think the heart button's broken. I think the heart button's broken. He says, say, okay, you know what, guys? I've had way too many technical errors to have 15 people come in here comfortably. So I'm going to go ahead and just begin. Anybody that has questions for me, this is the time to ask it. Or topics you want me to discuss, go ahead and ask it. You like the flying hearts? Of course, now it gets me pumped. It lets me know that we're alive. All right. I'm going to go ahead and begin. Let me go and see if you guys have asked questions already. This is Ask Me Almost Anything. I teach Odinani. So anything you want to know about that topic, ask me. Some people have asked me questions that are very far from that range. I'll go ahead and answer those too. If it's too damn far, we'll have to consider throwing you out. So let's see. Can't see your frame. It's frozen. Yeah, this is crazy. I don't like this at all. Ifa is Isese. Yes. So to be clear, the term Ifa refers to the divination system that is used throughout West Africa and Central Africa. It is a divination system, right? It is a system, a means for communicating with spirit, with Mo. And the Yoruba call that system Ifa. Igbo people, we call that same system Afa. Okay? Afa. I think Bini people, they call it Afa Ominibo. And then who else? Ewe, like in the Voodoo tradition. So people in that area, Benin Republic, they call theirs, I think they call it Efa or Afa, right? Igala people, they call it Efa. So we all use this system, very similar, almost identical system that speaks an identical language that was passed down to us from ancestors who existed before we exist. And we're intermixed with them, but they came before their first ancestors known as Ndimbu, who were said to be dwarves or dwarf-like. Dwarves with dreadlocks is the description I hear a lot. Dwarves with dreadlocks is the description I hear a lot. And these dwarves passed down this tradition to us known as Afa. And we use Afa to communicate with more spirit. So the Yoruba people have Afa, Ifa, Igbo, Afa, same thing. Slight differences when done. But the Afa itself speaks a language different from Yoruba and different from Igbo, but the same to both people. And so, but the Yoruba tradition is known as Isheshe. And sometimes, most of the time, honestly, in the West, it gets called Ifa, just because of the divination system, right? Just because of the divination system. So, y'all, you sound crystal clear. Are you doing a new live or moving forward? Your sound is crystal clear. Yes, I'm walking. So I don't know if that helps my sound. Maybe I'm projecting better. But for some reason, I can't, my visuals are not showing. Lukumi too, some people call it Lukumi, yes. I believe Lukumi was an early word for Yoruba. It's an old term for Yoruba people that was used to call all Yoruba people were called Lukumi, but it referred specifically to I want to say Abeokuta people, or what's this one in Ondo? It was like two groups of Yoruba people, or one group of Yoruba people was actually Lukumi, but it got used to call everybody Yoruba. Even the term Yoruba, they think it comes from Oyoruba, from Oyo people. So these are just generalization terms that get thrown over the people. Y'all, I think we're out of questions. Maybe you guys need to see my face for the questions to pop up. Maybe y'all need to see my face for the questions to come up. I don't know why my face is not showing. What I can say is it looks like YouTube is trying out different features, adding features to live. So yeah. Yeah, I learned that Lukumi is for the Olukumi sub-tribe of the region. Yup, exactly. May have ended up on their side. Can you talk a bit about meditation in Odinani? Absolutely. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question, Iman. All right, let's talk about meditation in Odinani. So the thing we call meditation, there are different art forms that we can classify as meditation when it comes to Odinani Ndibo, right? We spent too much energy sending hearts. Ndewo, Angelica. So meditation when it comes to it. So one of the ones that looks most like the meditation we are used to is an art form known as Ume Ndu. Ume Ndu. Umendu means life breathing or the breathing of life, breathing in life, right? And this is conscious breathing, the conscious controlling of your breath in order to then control the direction of your body and spirit, or the state of being of your body and spirit, right? So the reason that the breath is important for controlling body and spirit is because your lungs are a miniature version of the creator. The ancestors see the creator as a two-faced force, as a two-faced, I guess that's bad connotation in this culture, as a two-pronged or a two-part existence known as chi na eke, chi na eke. So each lung, one is chi, one is eke, representing those two things that have to exist in order for all things to exist. Chineke also manifests as sky and earth, manifests as man and woman, and manifests as the two bells of the Ogene bell, or the Ogene drum, right? Now, this two-prong drum, this two-part drum, is important in Odinani because not only is it a miniature of Chineke, it is the leading force or the leading instrument when you play Ogene music. It is the leading instrument when you play Ogene music. And the way Ogene music works is very similar to jazz, where whoever has the lead instrument starts, and then everybody jumps in according to what that person is doing or whatever they feel like doing. Freeform jazz, I guess they call it. All right. And as that leading instrument changes, other parts of the band change, and so on and so forth. So it's the controlling part, but it's controlling in the sense that all things are dancing to its rhythm. All things are dancing to the rhythm of Chi Na Eke, the creator. And then because your lungs are a miniature of Chineke, all things in your body, body and spirit, are dancing to the rhythm of your breathing. If you breathe very fast, you are an entirely different person than if you breathe very slow. If you are breathing, if you're taking shallow breaths, you are a different person than if you are taking deep breaths. For this reason, umendo is how our people and our ancestors use to unite madu, now more, into the same dance, okay? Now the difference, there's some differences between like the Eastern meditation you may be familiar with and umendo. Umendo does not, I mean, I think Eastern meditation might be this way too, but we get it from the Western filter, so maybe the West has branded it a certain way. But if you go to the original source, it probably looks like what we do. But in our tradition, you don't necessarily have to have your eyes closed and sitting down and cross-legged to meditate, right? Umendo begins with being aware of the power of your breath and then using that power to create a new song for your body and spirit to dance to, okay? So some people, you can do umendo in the middle of dancing. You can do umendo in the middle of walking. You can also do umendo while you are secluded and breathing. Another thing that is important about breathing was that our original ancestors, right? Our original ancestors were said to be light forms, right? Light forms. We came into existence as light form, similar to thought, similar to the way a thought exists in your head. And at the time of us being life forms to the transition of us being human beings, the only thing we needed to eat was air. Hence our lungs being connected to our creator. It is a receiver for the creator, what the creator feeds us. So the only thing we needed to eat was air. So that breathing takes you back to your original source and your original form. Our form after breathing was the being of the form of an earth body, an earthling, right? Umuwa, umuwa, children of the universe. And this form requires you to take in the four elements that the creator uses to make all things, which are eke, uri, afo, nkwo, in the forms of light, water, mineral, or earth, and wind. But prior, we only needed the air, the wind, right? And so if you want to return to your original voice, your original principle, if you want to hear your chi, if you want to be united with your chi, meditation, as well as abstinence from eating, I don't want anybody to abuse themselves, but abstinence from eating are all applied towards this goal. And once they are applied, you are able to transcend. And you see that in a lot of traditions and so forth. So, sounds like functional meditation. Yeah, okay, good. That's a good way to put it. Yes, functional meditation. Yes. Okay. There's more than one volume of After God is DB. I keep seeing volume 1 online for tons of money. Haven't come across volume 2 or more. So the family had, I don't know the history of it, but the family of the author that wrote it, for some reason they made it hard to get a hold of, but it's becoming easier. So I've been trying to find a way to make it available for you guys. And I think I've cracked the code. And I think my code is legal, which is the most important part. And so being that I cracked the code and it's a legal code, I'll see if I can try to make it available for you guys. And yeah, but I have to plan out how I'm going to do that. Can you drop an email? I don't know if that message is for me, but my email is in the description. It is DERICKOFOD@gmail.com. My email should be in the description of this video or any of my videos. So you can check there. I ordered one for around 300. Yes, please. I had a dream you would. Damn. All right. All right. Confirmed. Then since it was dreamt, then that is the path. Yeah, I'm going to try to I found a nice legal way to make it available. I've had it available for a while illegally, but I didn't want to disrespect the family. But now I'm cool. Is there any connection between Odinani and weightlifting? A lot of guys are getting into sandbag lifting, swinging clubs, and all the functional, that kind of thing. That's really interesting. And I would be interested in knowing more about that because I have a lot of pictures of, like, for example, now my cousin-in-law has a picture of one of his ancestors, a very, very old picture. And this is the picture had to have been from like maybe say between 1910 and 30, but no, not even 30. I'll say honestly between the start of the 1900s to about 1920. And this man is absolutely jacked. This man is absolutely jacked. And if you go to the Umbari blog, you'll see a lot of pictures of ancestors from like the 1800s and early 1900s. And a lot of them are yoked. A lot of them are huge. And so I do know that Igbo people have genes for muscle building. And you'll know that just if you're in the village for 5 seconds and a 6-year-old with an 8-pack pulls up on you, you'll know that there's something going on over here, right? Which is normal, But we have genes for muscle building, but I don't think it was completely because how big they were. I don't think it was entirely just from existing. So I do think some type of deliberate training was going on. I just can't tell you what it is. I haven't found the research for that. You know, when colonialism happened, the main thing they tried to bury was anything that pertains to the martial traditions, the military traditions of the people, masquerades that pertain to military traditions, um, societies, military societies, things like that. They tried to bury that as much as they could. So it is findable, but it is a lot harder than everything else to find those traditions. But that being said, things like sports, but that being said, I have more than enough evidence of ancestors who were absolutely yoked to believe that there was some type of ancestral um, weightlifting system going on, because that doesn't just come from eating Gary, from eating fufu and egusi, as Americans call it. Hold on. All right. Phoenix, thank you very much. It must be the yams. Yeah, it might be. It might be, bro. I dreamt that I saw the book with red text on the title, but I was told I had to go to the principal to get it. I saw the second volume of After God is Deep, yeah, and recognized it from my dream. Damn. All right. So, Angelica, I'm super inspired. This is dope. I'm gonna go for it. Where are we at? Egyptian mythology similar. Okay. Egyptian mythology similar to Oni Rus Shu, a god that holds the earth and sky apart so that there's space for us to exist. So, Ela, that is a really interesting thing you brought up, because we speak about the 4 market days, Eke, Orie, Afo, Nkwo. And it's interesting we were talking about breathing, because Nkwo is that 4th day, and Nkwo represents wind. But Nkwo also represents order, in the sense that everything has its own space, and that which has been ordered by Chukwu, and whatever Chukwu's will is shall be done, right? Ise, and Nkwo, the 4th day, final day. And what's interesting about that is because there's a lot of stories about Nkwo separating the different elements of nature, right? So separating sky from earth, separating water from earth, land, and that kind of thing, making sure everything has its own space and its own order. So Nkwo sounds very much like what you're bringing up as far as the Oniru's true. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate the knowledge. Is there any verb nyo from mir enyo related to anya, nya, nyo, nya, nyo? So the nya in anya, nya. Funny enough, that nya mean it's like driving, 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 like something that moves something. And nyo is blocking. So Angelica, I never thought about it, but that is really interesting. It's a block. Nya is like being in the way of something. I mean, there's a whole lot to it. I think we had a group study on Patreon about the word enya. But that nyo, one of its meanings is to block. So words that pertain to blocking, you'll see nyo in them, right? And then words that pertain to driving, and then eyes for some reason is nya. So I never thought about that, but they do kind of work as opposites of each other. They do kind of work as opposites of each other. It must be the yams. I'm in the gym now, so I had to ask. Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. A whole bunch of pictures. So, like I said, my cousin-in-law's town is a town next to my town called Otulu. But what's interesting about Otulu is that in the location, Otulu is this tiny sliver right next to my town, but it's a different town. And that led me to think that perhaps they were the same town at one point, and they were separated for one reason or another. But right, probably anyways, it happens, right? What was I gonna say about Otulu? Anyways, yeah. So he showed me the picture because, of course, I'm from Alabama, and this man looked like goddamn Booker T. This dude was huge, and of course he knows my interest and what I study. Everybody in my family knows what time I'm on. Funny enough, I feel like my, my mother-in-law is hilarious. Maybe she's watching. I don't know. Uh, if she's watching, please let me know because. But yeah, she was just talking the other day. I think she's found a lot of the stuff I talk about on TikTok. And TikTok, I'm very random, right? So I just whatever the hell comes to mind, I talk about it. Ooh, but she went and liked all the Odinani pertaining videos, and lately she's been saying very like she says she's gonna join O. O is a I guess we call it a mystery school, right? She's gonna join O, and she's gonna take on a title from there. She doesn't want anybody telling her to come to any damn church. She was saying this to troll my father-in-law, who is very, 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 very Catholic. And we were talking about this O tradition. And my village, they do O. That's the tradition there. And my village, they do O. They dance this thing called O, which is like O is Nemiri, is the Abara of the river of the water. And so they celebrate her during O. It's her festival, her society, that kind of thing. Because we are Oru people. We are Igbo people that live according to water. And she was talking about how our O was real in my town and how my father-in-law's O was fake because they mixed it in with the church. They got it sanctioned by the church a long time ago. And so now it's fake. And that our O, you still need to do an initiation, which I've been initiated into when I was very young. I was 6 years old. Me and my younger brother, I have two younger brothers, so the one immediately after me, we're both initiated. Funny enough, he's a very well-known YouTuber. Both of them are, but he kind of pioneered that for the whole family. So he's a well-known YouTuber. And we're both initiated. I was probably 6 or 5. He was like 3-ish, 2-ish, probably 2. Yeah, probably 2. And yeah, we still kept it real. Onirus is Aries, Mars, and Shu is air. Wow, that's powerful. Wow, that is powerful. So interesting enough, I don't like to do too many this equals that. Like, I can't even think of the term right now. I've just been walking so long. I don't like doing too many things where it's like, oh, this is Zeus, this is whatever. I just teach what I teach, and then if y'all draw the connections, that's fine. I can respect it. Some of those connections are a little too loud for me to ignore because Nkwo is also associated with Ekwensu, and Ekwensu is the quote unquote god of war, the Abara of war, right? The Abara of war, very similar to Mars because in the Greek tradition, I believe Athena and Mars are both associated with war, though I don't think this is how the Greeks contextualize this, but we'll just go with it, right? Both Athena and Mars, but Mars was a more passionate war, like a crashing out, as they would say, right? Crashing out was a more heart-driven war, and Athena is a more head-driven war, strategic war, organized war. So Ekwensu is in the same vein where it's more crash out, trying to use the new terms. It's more of a passionate, explosive war, right? The explosive, violent energy. And Amadioha or Anyanwu is more tactical, strategic, and order driven. And so I find what you shared just very interesting because Ekwensu is very similar to Aries. Ekwensu is very similar to Aries. And Ekwensu is associated with wind, with Nkwo. Ekwensu is what Chukwu sends. Like when Chukwu says, this shall be, right? The sky shall be blue. The earth shall be fertile. Ekwensu is what Chukwu, the energy that Chukwu places in that area, in that place, to make sure it happens as Chukwu ordained. To make sure it happens as Chukwu ordained. This is why when you are doing things that are very important to you, you feel a a rise of internal tension, a rise of fear, a rise of anxiety, a rise of pressure, that uncomfortable feeling you get when you're about to do something that matters. That is Ekwensu, because they say that anytime a ritual is done, Ekwensu stands over your shoulder to make sure it's done correctly. Now, let me say nearby, I don't want to invoke the wrong Christian imagery. Ekwensu stands nearby to make sure that it's done. And so, because Ekwensu has that role, it's the same thing. It's very similar to what you're saying, just putting everything in its place and so forth. So that's dope. Apollo thought, Odimma, Odimma. Athena wisdom, yes, yes, absolutely. Okay, I'm gonna go back. I missed a whole lot of questions. I've just been in the zone. I like walking and having these. I just don't know why my camera is not coming on. I don't know what I can do to turn my camera on. Well, it's cool. We're kicking it. We're hanging out. Can you drop an email? Okay, so my email has been dropped. It is DERICKOFOD@gmail.com. So my email is there. You can see it. And it's also in the description of every video. On the Where did you learn Odinani? I know I missed some questions, so I'm just scrolling backwards, see if I can answer whichever ones pop up. Where did you learn Odinani? This is a very good question. I would say my learning of Odinani came in 3 phases. Phase number 1 is growing up in the tradition. So if you tell a 70-year-old man that you're doing something pertaining to Odinani, they may not know what you're talking about. Odinani is a new term that people have come up with to encapsulate all of ancestral thought and observation. And this new term used to just be called Igbo. People used to say Igbo. But now we have Igbo Catholics, Igbo Protestants, Igbo Buddhists, and Igbo atheists and all that stuff. So if you say Igbo, it now becomes a bloodline more than a way of being and a way of thought, right? More than a spiritual thing. It's more of like a blood thing, right? That's what the West does. The West is all into blood quantum, right? So it's become a nation. And so it's hard to use Igbo in that sense, and it makes sense. So people now say Odinani, Odinani, which the term has always existed, but colloquially, commonly, the term was just to say Igbo, right? Is this the Igbo belief or the Oyibo belief? Is this the Igbo thing, that kind of thing, right? So I learned, my first place of learning it was being in the tradition and being fortunate enough to be from a family that did not abandon their traditions, right? That did not abandon their traditions. So I knew who was holding the ofo in the family. That person was well respected. If like back home, if my window to the right, my uncle Deachim, my grand uncle Deachim, was like a full-blown traditionalist, right? And his shrine was just out my window. And so I just watch him work and do his thing and that kind of thing. That was common. My uncle Nkele, used to dance Okorosha. Okorosha comes out the same time as Owu. It's a tall black masquerade, and it's very militant. It's a very militant masquerade. Back in the day, it'd be one of the masquerades that would beat your ass if you don't run, right? Women aren't allowed to watch Okorosha, though it's changed now. Somebody has a channel on TikTok where there's an Okorosha or that keeps trying to get her phone number. Which to me, being very traditional, that's some bullshit. But I'd rather that than people completely run away from it, right? So if it needs to be less scary for people to be comfortable, then so be it. But it's significantly less scary than it used to be. But my uncle used to dance in that. And so my grandfather, my dad, even my mother, who's very Christian, she told me that if she had found my channel when she was younger, she would be a divya. And my mother-in-law is even saying some things. My mother-in-law is very funny. She likes to troll, but she's even hinting some things. So it's always been around me. But I always just saw it as, okay, this is just culture, right? It's just, okay, culture. I didn't give things too deep of a thought. I didn't look too deep into it, right? The next phase was I was inspired by a dream. A woman around, an old, stern woman came to me in a dream that I couldn't recognize for anything. I thought it was one of my ancestors, Nichige, and it might be, but I also now understand it was Arubinago. Arubinago, an old, stern woman came to me in a dream, and she didn't say anything, but she encouraged me to look at my palms. And I looked at my palms, and I noticed that my palms had two different line patterns. One was long, one was short. And for some reason, I understood that message as do what I'm doing now. I can't tell you logically how that conclusion gets drawn, but it was drawn and it was correct. And then the next time I learned about Odinani, right? So this led to my second phase of researching. I started reading everything I could. I have a library on Patreon. It's got like over 300 documents. I have read probably roughly 40% of those. And the reason it's even 40 is because people have been sending me a lot that I haven't touched yet. So if it pertains to Odinani in there, I've read it. So I read and I read and I read. I got every book I could. I went all out in the research aspect. But the third phase of me learning Odinani, because by nature I'm skeptical, right? I don't get into too many things that I can't quote unquote prove. The third phase was I set up my altar indoors, and it felt goofy. Like it's like I got a bunch of stuff on the table. It didn't feel like anything. And then I remember this thing I read about, the ancestors having altars outdoors. And I already had this thing that I do everywhere I live. I always have a garden. And whenever I want peace, I'd go to that garden, I'd sit down, I would clip the withering leaves so they don't take too much nutrients away from the ones that are still healthy, all that. So I said, you know what if I turn this garden into my altar? And I did that. And just something clicked. I can call it something clicked, but in truth, my ago woke up. Like it woke up fully. It was already starting to stretch, right? That kind of thing, but I needed to feel it physically. It was in my head. It got out of my head once I did that, and it became real, right? It became real. And from there, I can say that I read this, I read that. But those who know, anyways, let me do this. Based on your level of understanding, my answer is different, right? So there's some people you'll go, okay, you read this and read that, read that. But those of you who know, those of you who understand this on a deeper level than something that can be learned in the Western sense, understand that that's where most of my learning happened, was the more awakened. I didn't have the words to describe it. I didn't understand that that was what was going on, but it's what it was. I just started seeing the patterns more easily. I just began realizing things more easily. Things started coming to me. And what I would do is things would come to me and then I'd go look for something to confirm it, right? You guys are probably, some of you guys have heard me say, I usually try to confirm it in two places, right? I don't want to say something, that's some bullshit. So I try to confirm things in two places. And but just know there's a whole lot of stuff on the backlog that I haven't quote unquote confirmed yet, but I know with 100% clarity that this is the absolute truth and this is what it is. Just maybe some people don't know it yet, or maybe the source of it is lost. But either way, I tapped into the source of all of this. Right? And it all came together naturally. And it's easier to learn. Let me say this, it's easier to know than to not know. It's easier to know than to not know. Okay. You do ancestor readings. So Ultraviolet, I don't do ancestor readings, but we do have a Dibia on Patreon. A Dibia I think you are from the Yoruba tradition. A Dibia in the Igbo tradition is a traditional doctor, traditional healer, traditional seer, all that. So a Dibia, master of wisdom. So our Dibia Uzo on Patreon, he can do that for you if you are on the Patreon. So if you're interested, just join the Patreon. If you need some time, maybe you want to save up a little money, that kind of thing, just message me, and that should be fine too. But the Dibia Uzo does the readings. I don't do the readings. Funny enough, though, I do. I did learn how to do Afa. I did learn how to do divination, but it's not for me, if that makes sense. Odinani is about understanding what is for you, and some things are not for you. But I always tell this story. Those of you who've heard the story, you're about to be bored. But I learned how to do Afa, and I decided to do it one day. And I asked a very specific question, and he gave me an answer, and that answer changed my life. I'm actually enacting right now. I'm enacting parts of that answer. And in giving me the answer it gave me, it also told me that the issue, because it was a setback I was having, it was generational. It had been going on for generations. And this is just from one time doing it, right? And so you have to give Afa something. You have to give it a gift, right? So I gave it a kola nut. And then I continued doing what I was doing. I was working on something for our Igbo language school. And then I ate the kola nut without thinking. And I didn't think anything of it. I didn't even realize I ate it, right? Or I didn't realize the significance of eating a gift I just gave, right? After giving it. And so my mother calls me. Remember, my mother told me she'd be a Dibia had she ran into my channel first. And my mother calls me at like 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m., sometime around that time, and goes, "Hey, did you do anything like spiritual or anything pertaining to more, anything like that?" And I laughed. I go, "Yeah, I just did Afa for the first time." And she's like, "Oh, please, please, please be careful when you're doing that." I was like, "Why?" She had a dream that two women came to her, right? Two women came to her. And these two women were very serious, but they were also they were serious, but they were playful under their veneer of being serious. It was like two playful people trying to show you that they were serious. And they were dressed kind of business, and they came into her home, and they asked about me and one of my cousins, who is a super, super, super gifted seamstress, by the way, a gifted seamstress. She makes traditional off. So if you guys need something sewed for you, message me. I'll connect you to her. But she asked about me and her and said that we took something that belongs to them. And then my mom's like, "Okay, I'm sorry, whatever it is, I can pay you guys back." And she said that, "Okay, no, there they go, okay, no problem." And she knew they were spirits because when they turned, they couldn't turn their neck. They had to turn their entire body at once. And our ancestors say that if you have a dream and the entity in your dream has to turn its entire body at once, then it's a spirit, right? It's not a person. You understand? Right? More turns its whole body at once and never turns its neck. You understand? You'll notice a lot of masquerades too, they don't turn their neck. They turn all at once and they turn their body. Some of them are not designed with the neck. So either way, what was I gonna say? Yeah, either way, what was I gonna say? Yeah. So after that, I went back to my altar. I was like, "Oh yeah, no. All right, sorry. My bad, y'all. I didn't know it was that deep." I gave them alcohol, I gave them cola, and that kind of thing. And then I had a dream that confirmed that it was received by somebody who had kind of a knowing, kind of playful look on their face, right? That kind of thing. And so I thought maybe 2 or 3 more times after that. I believe I'm very good at it. I know I'm very good at it. But I don't think it's for me. I don't think it's for me, you know? I think that's for the Dibia. So we have a Dibia on Patreon who does it for all the patrons whenever they need it. I think my born market day on Wednesday. Can you explain this briefly? So guys, we have cracked the code on market days. We have finally figured out how to read market days for people because there's a complex mathematics that goes with it. It's not just I was born on this day, right? What I would do is go on any reliable AI and tell them what location you were born, the exact location, and the exact address, the exact location, and the exact the exact location and the exact day and time, not address. the exact location, the exact date, and the exact time. And ask which Igbo market day was this? And it will tell you your market day because it does the math. The mathematics requires, because this is what goes into it. One, our ancestors do not start the day the same way the Westerners start the day. Westerners start the day at 12, right? 12 a.m. is a new day. Our ancestors start the day when the sun rises or when the market opens. It's the same time, same thing. So we do it when the market opens, which is sunrise. If the sun rises 5 minutes too late, then that day came 5 minutes too late. African relationship with time is more about tangible events. Tangible events. So we use time. We use that to tell time, right? Oh, what was I going to say? So if you want to figure out your market day, go to a reliable AI. You may go to a couple to confirm your exact location you were born, the exact time, or an approximation of the time, and ask what Igbo market day was this, and the year. I think I was born. But yeah, but the science of the market days is that the ancestral calendar has 4 days. Eke, Orie, Afo, Nkwo, 4 days, right? In the ancestral calendar, we have 4 days. Those 4 days then break into 7 weeks, which is an entire moon. You know a moon by the very literal moon cycle. You look up in the sky, you will see a new moon, which is when the moon goes all black, then all of a sudden a sliver comes up. It's starting a new cycle, right? That is a new moon. And then it goes into a full moon, then it starts receding again, it goes back to another new moon. So if you follow the 4 market days, 7 cycles of that will give you an entire moon cycle on the dot. Okay? Each of those market days has a significance. They are an Iyi Uwa, which is a universal river, a universal stream, a stream that you use to enter reality, and the stream you will use, or not reality, this world, this realm, and the stream you'll use to exit and return is your Iyi Uwa. It also pertains to your destiny. So it's your movement through time. That's one way to put it. That river is not just your physical birthing and day, it's your very literal movement through time. It is the fact that you are born with a destiny known as your akaraka. Akaraka, another word for akaraka is eke, right? Eke is creation. So you're born with this akaraka, this destiny that's written all over your body, but you can see parts of it on your palm. And this akaraka, what was I going to say? So it's already been written. Whatever's going to happen to you, whoever you're going to be, however you're going to manifest it, it's already been written. You can delay things, you can postpone things, you can rush towards things. There's a popular Nigerian proverb, I'll say Nigerian because all of us say it, which says, destiny can be delayed, but it can't be changed, right? So this is akaraka. You have this akaraka, right? And that akaraka flows through your market day. So there's something about the day you were born that is tied to how your destiny will manifest and how you connect to spirit. People born on Eke Day, their spirit is fed by light, by the sun, by fire, among many things. But those are elementally. Elementally, Oriya people are fed by water. Their more is their connection is stronger when they're around water, right? So you go to a stream, you go to dam, I don't know, you take a shower, all that. Take a swim. Those people that swim to relax might have a correlation with that, right? Strong association between Oriya people and dreadlocks as well, which if you guys are interested, we can talk about that. But strong connection between Oriya people and dreadlocks, or Dada, as we call it. And then Afo is earth, soil. So I'm out here in nature. I have no track. I'm not nature. I guess I'm out here in the suburb, but it's a well lived in suburb. It's an older suburb. So the trees are well grown out. And right now I have no track of time. I have no track of space. I don't know where I'm at, you know, but anything that tries to play with me right now, I'm going to win. A damn alligator can pop out. I'll win. 5 armed robbers can pop out. I'll win. Why? Because I'm in my element. I'm charged. I'm alive. Right? My chi is very awake right now. Why is that? Because I'm walking through nature. Habitually, I'll touch the leaves. Right? Habitually, I'll touch the trees when I pass them, take a little piece of bark. I've been twiddling a piece of branch in my finger that I've now disintegrated. I got to find a new one. This is subconscious. All of this gives me life. All of this helps me awaken. I strongly believe, or let me say I know, I just say I believe for the hell of it, but I know that that's also why all of this connected once I united my altar and my garden. Once I made them the same thing, everything came alive. Why? Because that's my element. That's my element. When people figure out they're Uriye people, they will occasionally visit the water. If you live by a stream, if you're lucky enough to live by a stream, that's where they go to pray in the morning. So in every village, you'll see a group of people wearing white by the river. These are the Uriye people. You don't have to be an Uriye person to do that, but they once they figured out that's where their source is from. Nah, the thing is stronger than coffee as far as getting your day started and all that. Right? So those are Uriye people, water. And then there's Unkwo, which we've spoken about. Unkwo, these are people whose Iyuwa, their universal stream, comes through the door of Unkwo. Unkwo is wind. These are your Umendo people. These are your meditative breathers. These are your mountain climbers. These are people that go up and experience different kinds of air. So your pilots and all that, people, air people. Umunkwo, people of air. So those are the 4 market days. And like anything in any African tradition, the way we do it is, as far as African people, is that nothing is separated, right? There's no such a thing as this is the spiritual thing, this is the non-spiritual. It's all in there. So every single thing is going to have the mathematics that comes with it, the spirituality that's going to come with it, the philosophy that's going to come with it, the entertainment. All of it is going to be mixed up into one thing. If you look at the way African people, and when I say African people, I mean all over the diaspora. I'm getting tired of the word black. That shit's idiotic. So I'll slip and say it because I've been saying it my whole life. Just like I slip and say, this is Derek or father-in-law instead of this is Duro or father-in-law. These are old habits, right? But yeah, so when I say African people, I mean all y'all. So African people all over the world, if you see our food, it's all mixed in. It all touches. It all makes, it's all one thing, right? This one where the carrots are over here, the chips over here, and the pizza's over here. It's a whole different system, right? It's a whole different system. So that's also how all this works, the metaphysics and all that stuff. It's all mixed in. So one little thing, I can give you an entire book of all the different things that go into it. So the market days, there's mathematics, there's metaphysics, there's spirituality, there's entertainment, all that goes in there. Let me go find some more questions. It must be, okay, I'm way, way, way behind. Do I do ancestor readings? No. Are there any other words with nya? Right, oh yeah. Inyanya is a horse. Inyanya is a horse. Is a horse. Unya is a vehicle. Is a vehicle, something that just moves, right? Ogaranya. Ogaranya is a rich person, but the word ogaranya very specifically says they go where their eyes go. So if I look at the top of a mountain, I can reach the top of that mountain, right? This is a word they use it to say rich people, but it's really a capable person, right? A person who can make a person whose will and reality are one in one. So ogaranya. In the history of our region, there's an era of where things were more or less run by the quote unquote spiritual people. And then slowly they were taken over by the Ogaranya, the rich people. And The slave trade, all that had a big, big, big role to play with that. But it's something very obvious I've seen in my studies. I've written about it, and I did the Osu documentary. Some of the subtext there is that transition from when things were run by the quote unquote spiritual people and then the quote unquote Ogaranya, who then incorporated a lot of the spiritual people's things to legitimate themselves. I'm not saying one is good and one is bad, by the way. No, we're not going to do binary thinking. Both of them have their good, both of them have their bad. It's just how we transitioned historically. And it's happened all over the world too. This same thing has happened all over the world too. The Ogaranya took over. So Ogaranya has nya in it, inya, nya, horse, unya, anya, anyanwu. I mean, these ones are going to be easy. All the ones that have anya in them. Anyanwu, the sun. What's another one? Inya, onya. Any word that starts with onya is a rider. Onya is a rider, somebody that rides. So onyigwe, someone who rides a machine. Onyubo, a sailor or someone who rows a boat rider, right? Yeah. So any nya, the word nya is to drive. Okay. Let me see what else is here. Any more questions? Brother, if you look at Vedic astrology, the lunar mansions and the control by Mars are 3, right between the Earth and the Sun. Wow, that's powerful. That's dope. Thank you for that. You once said you already know everything because you're part of the universe, which is why physics and science comes intuitively to some people. Yes, absolutely. Does this apply to real-time events too? Yeah, absolutely. So we're all human beings are all knowing, right? We are all ezumezu, or let me say this: a part of us is an ezumezu more, all seeing, all knowing, all being. And this all seeing, all knowing, all being part of us is our agun. This part of us is all knowing. But our agun comes into the world for a purpose. So even though agun is all knowing, there's knowledge that's for us, and there's knowledge that's not for us. The knowledge that's for us, we are infinite in, right? Infinite in, because we're tapped into an infinite well of it. The ones that's not for us, not so much. You understand? So it's a different way of understanding intelligence. And you see that too. Some people can't tie their shoes, but they can draw the entire New York City skyline by memory. It's just what it is. Now, you can tap into the one that's for you and not for you, right? That's also accessible. It's not like that kind of thing, yeah. But you're just starting from the understanding that you're all knowing and then panning out from there. And absolutely. And this does apply for real-time events. Some people have the capacity for clairvoyance. Some people have your chi is going to tell you the correct thing. And then the rest of you may or may not comply and listen. Okay, I'll say it again. Your chi will tell you the correct thing. And the rest of you may or may not comply or listen. But that chi is all knowing. So tap in with it and listen to it, and you'll be the same. This is why when a person is taking the title of Nze or Ozo, when they're taking the title of Nze or Ozo, they are becoming a living representative of their chi, a living representative of their ancestors. And these people serve as the sources of wisdom, guidance, and leadership for the community as a whole. Okay? And you have to live a certain kind of life to keep that going, to stay true to that awful, to that covenant, to that connection, right? But you become it by making a declaration. It's not even that you have to sit there and study something. You make a declaration. Once that declaration is made, everything that comes with the declaration kind of just pans out. So it starts happening, right? It starts happening. So yeah. I knew when my grandparents died. I didn't know how. I just knew, yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing, right? So when I said earlier, you tap into the source. One of the ways of tapping into that source is by living. As you're living, you will see the things that I'm saying. If your life is not confirming the things that I'm saying, you have no reason to believe me. Don't believe me. I don't know if you guys saw that Ghana guy that went to Scotland and started a cult. I'm not trying to do any bullshit like that, right? I don't need that, right? That's not me. So I have no, there's no, I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm not here to prove anything to anybody. I'll give it to you. If it does not register with your actual life, do not listen to me. Because what I'm discussing with you guys is life. If you hear him like, man, that sounds like a bunch of bullshit. Good. Let it be that way. There's so many things that I remember. One of my earliest teachers was a Dibia and an Inze. In fact, I'll use Inze because he's teaching me as an Inze. Was an Inze. And he'd tell me some things. I'm like, man, that sounds like the biggest crock of bullshit I ever heard in my life. And then 1 year later, I'll be like, oh, no, I wasn't ready or I was tripping. But he was 100%. And it's just the most unbelievable thing you'd ever hear, too. And it's just, oh my God, what? This guy told me that our people went to Papua New Guinea. I'm like, man, here they go again with this bullshit. And then after a while, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, things like that. So, but if you don't believe it, it's good. That's good. Just don't continue being that way. And then maybe one day it'll pan out. But this is one of the ways we keep what we're doing true. If it's not true, we don't mess with it. There's an ilu that says when an Arashi is like let's say a god, right? I guess that's the way people translate it sometimes. When an Arashi fails to do, no. Yeah, okay. When an Arashi fails to do what makes it an Arashi, we use it for firewood. Okay? When an Arashi, those who know the Yoruba tradition think like Orisha maybe. When an Arashi fails to do what an Arashi is supposed to do, we use it for firewood. What does that mean? That if you tell me this Arashi can make rain fall from the sky, and it doesn't make rain fall from the sky, then it's just a piece of wood. We only believe in, we're not operating in belief. We only operate on what's true, okay? I don't know how I got into this rant, but it's important. Someone said, give me brain. No, thank you. Is the screen dark for everybody? Yeah, Diana, I don't know why, but my screen's not showing. I decided to go ahead and just keep talking. Diana, it's nice seeing you, though. Can you talk about Umbari? Yes, I can. Umbari. Okay, so the way Umbari works is, at this time of the year, actually, right? I think we're entering the Onwa Halom Chi, the woman's moon. So this time of the year, I need to update the moons on the calendar. So this time of the year, the women in a community, if you've had a good year, you gather to build a house for the spirit of that year. Okay? You gather to build a house for the spirit of that year, to house that spirit, so it continues to stay around and bless you and that kind of thing. And so the women in the community will gather around, they'll build a home, like a home for it, and in that home, they'll cover it in art, right? They'll use uli. Uli is an art style and a written language of women, of Igbo women, though I think surrounding cultures also use it, but uli is Igbo women's writing, tattoo, art style, all of it together. The symbols all have their meanings and they're used to communicate and that kind of thing. Okay, and then they'll also do like little figurines of the different things that happened this year, right? So a lot of the ones that were pictured are from like the colonial era. You'll see like colonial officers. You'll see Allah, the goddess of the earth, or not the goddess of the earth, but we'll call her goddess of the earth. You'll see Allah. You'll see different things, right? Pythons, all these different things. And what happens is once they've built this home for the spirit, they leave it alone and they let the forest take it. So they don't maintain it. They let it kind of just I guess what we'd call in English rot, rot away, right? Decompose. And over the years, it kind of fades back into the earth. And as it fades back into the earth, that's how you know that Allah has received it. So you gave Allah this gift and she's received it. The word for year is Afo. One of Allah's names is also Afo, right? It's all connected. You understand? It's connected to the womb, the stomach. Afo. Oh, Afo. Said that wrong. Oh my God, I can sit down now. All right. So, yeah, the screen is black, y'all. I wish it wasn't, but this is where we're at. No visual tonight. It's having a problem with the live. Good. Yeah. So, yeah, that is Umbari. Um, it's a tradition I'd like to see. I live here, of course. I live in the U.S., so I'd like to facilitate some type of revival for Umbari here in the U.S. or some type of something, where women can also use that to build community, um, and so forth. Right? I think it's an amazing tradition. I think you'd have to have no sense to let that thing go. A lot of people don't have sense, so it's something I'd like to facilitate here in the U.S. I'm glad they gave you a chance to rectify the situation. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm leaving that shit alone. Good night, y'all. Work in the dawning. Okay, Aaron. Good seeing you. I know you're gone by now. Thought I was born on Eke Day. Turns out I'm actually Urie. Angelica Pickles. That makes sense. Was wondering why I always ended up doing my Eke things on Urie Day. Very interesting. Big is back with the bamboozle. Ubu. Ubulu Watego. Ubulu, where are you from? Are you from Rivers? I notice you're spelling things wrong. Are you from Rivers? Very prettiness on my born day. Oh, I'm Unqua, air. Phoenix is air, and then their avatar is also a big ass bird. Very interesting. Oh man, where's Siberia Faye? Ubulu is in Algaranya. Well, we'll see. I mean, African intelligence the other day. All right, where are we at? Where are we at? Skip my question. Let me repost it. All right. If this is too random of a question, please ignore. But are there scents, perfumes, incense, aromas that carry? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. This is not something I know a lot about, but I do know that there's this I always say this word wrong. Incense bundle that they make. It looks very much like the Native American one. It's like a stick, leaves tied together. You burn it and you use it for cleansing and that kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Phoenix, definitely. You discussed scents before. Yeah, absolutely, Phoenix. So that's one thing I know that pertains to scents is that incense bundle. Incense bundle. I can't remember the name of it though. Somebody who is more familiar with things at home could say what it is, but I'll find the name. If you ask me again in a few days, I'll know. There are sounds like choke here, yeah. In your Ross Ferrari podcast, you talk about how you said when it comes to spirits, we don't focus on the unborn. Um, what is the unborn and why did we stray from them? They're losing it. Well, the unborn are people who are not born yet, right? It's as simple as that. People who are not born yet. So based on the way that African spirituality is discussed, there's a lot of focus on ancestors, and that's fine. It makes sense. But in real time, the unborn, the born, and the ancestors are all acknowledged in roughly equal portion, right? I think a lot of the unborn stuff also is speaking of to children who are not born yet, the unborn, people who are not born yet, people who are waiting to return. I think a lot of that also fades out because when Christianity came, women took to it a lot harder than men, right? Women took to it and it's very hard to find people who do it in the older. I want to say that we're in the Onwa Alum Chi. My personal off. I've been traveling a lot. I've been trying to my home from one state to another. I thought today was Saturday or Sunday. It's actually or something like that. Anyways, that kind of thing. What was I gonna say? Yeah, the unborn. So yeah, so but in this moon, if this is Onwa Alum Chi, which I suspected that it is, then in this moon or the next moon, I'll double check. But this moon or the next the unborn, children that are not born yet, people who have not returned yet, and they'll give them an offering and acknowledge, right? That kind of thing. But unfortunately, the church has taken the Onwa Alomchi moon and I've turned it into some bullshit they call August meeting. An August meeting where all the women in the community get together and give all their harvest and money, or not all of it, but an obnoxiously large amount of their harvest and money to the church. And so I would love to see the Onwa back, and I'm going to contribute in the most I can to making that happen. Yeah, it's a phoenix. Phoenix, but the story of the phoenix is connected to the story of the hornbill. The story of the hornbill in the ancestral tradition. So I think when the Greeks got this story, the from the ash. But in our tradition, the phoenix, which is the hornbill, leg, and the sun emerges out of that egg. So somehow I think in the Greek tradition, the phoenix and the bird combine to the same, become the same thing. But the story is told all over Africa. It's told in Kemet, and then it's told in Greece. The story of the phoenix, which is the hornbill, right? I've made a video. I don't know if you've seen the video I've made of the story of the hornbill, the Eze Igwe, the let's call it the sky. I don't know if I got caught up, but I was dropping bars, so I hope you guys didn't miss any bars. Bad, yo. We were supposed to discuss how Alpha works, and I wanted my camera to be able to turn on. My camera can't turn on for some reason. I don't know why, but I wanted my camera on while discussing Alpha, while discussing the divination. Unfortunately, I can't do that because I wanted to show you guys the different diagrams and the different things like that. I'm also going to be having a boot camp to teach Alpha, so I'll be announcing it next time I get my damn camera on. I'll see if I'll go live during the week to make up for today. Can you repeat what you said about the unborn? Yes, absolutely. So the unborn are children who have not been born yet. So people who are waiting to come back, and they are as much a part of the tradition, ancestors and the living. I do think the way Africans about in the West, there's more focus on like ancestors, and which is important too, right? It's all important, but the unborn are also a part of it because this is family from a perspective where all time family perspective where all time is happening at once. The future coexists with the present, coexists with the past. It's all one and the same. I had this about time, Brandon, too. I was thinking about time too, right? Like, let's say now somebody has work in the morning and they start doing actions now. I don't want to get to this because I feel like it's for what I'm trying to express. They're already at work right now, and that being at work on Monday, even though it's Sunday right now, I think, yeah, Sunday, is already affecting the events of now. right? The way the events of the past ripple into now. So it's almost like if you think about time, almost like a lake, and somebody throws like 5 pebbles, and the ripples from each pebble touch all the ripples of the other pebble. But we're calling one ripple, one pebble splash, the present, and we're calling another one the past. We're calling another one the future, but they're all affecting the future in the same way, right? This might be an Odinani thing, but it's just something we always talk about time in our group discussions, and it's something that's been coming up lately. Stuff like that exist yet, and those who have already lived are acknowledged as existing. Okay, so that's what I mean by the unborn. Those who are not born yet, those who are not alive yet, those who are waiting to return into the world, and so forth. Anyways, my question was that she entered and exited Obichuku backwards each time. To go in backwards, you're facing the outside moving in. To exit backward, you're facing the inside moving out. Yeah, Angel. Yeah, I think we talked about specific to that. Angelica said math, John. Not if we have two faces. Ah, creative force comes with another element. So, John, I will discuss our five. Let's discuss alpha, right? We'll discuss alpha, how alpha works. I owe you that. My bad. Oh, that's cool. I need to check it out. What could these movements have to do? It's contained Obichuku. Okay. What could these movements contained within Obichuku? What did Eke encounter when she faced forward and walked forward into Obi? Tradition backward. So I'll use enters backwards. It doesn't walk in forwards, enters backwards in honor of her, right? It enters our compound, our family land. It comes in backwards. Something that happens is rare. You won't see this anywhere. I've never seen this, heard of anybody else having this, but that's how powerful and revered she was. And that's the ancestor that I thought visited me that started kind of my journey. And it could also be, but I think there's also a little bit more to it. But the idea of entering backwards is that the Okorosha, a real Okorosha, is very ritually activated. It's got a lot going on its body. But when it moves backwards, all of the things that it has activated are off. It turns those things off and enter deactivated. So anytime I heard that story, it took me back to that particular anecdotal example. But there could be something to be said, or let me say this, right? But in fact, I'll say this. There's not even something that could be said. So one of Eke's name is Atumatsu. Atu that knows Atu, right? Atu is like, you can't really translate Atu into English, honestly, but it's like igniting, igniting, like the thing between igniting and wanting to ignite something, right? Atu, Atu, casting something, right? Casting Atu, it's right? Like penetrate. Okay, something penetrating the barrier from intention to reality. Bam, that's Atu. It's from intention. Atu. Atu is also the name of the singularity that everything came from, the first mother, right? When everything was one. Now everything is two, Chi and Eke, but originally it was Atsu. So one of Eke's name is Atsu because Eke Atsu is the same thing. Atsu ma Atsu, Atsu that knows Atsu. And the process of knowing Atsu, Ima Atsu, right, came from her seeing what was inside Atsu, Atsu that saw Atsu. Best one, Atsu that's aware of Atsu, meaning that she's aware of herself. She saw herself. Our last group, we have group discussions on Patreon. Our last one was on mirrors. And so that's something that came up. The replay of it is up for those who are curious. Okay. That's what I feel like. I'm literally getting ready for work right now. Good evening. Your phone cut out when you spoke about the tradition that was before Christianity replaced it. Can you elaborate more on why women took to Christianity and more religious than men? Well, there's nowhere in the world you're going to see the opposite. Absolutely nowhere. It's never happened. Right. So, one thing is, if we're coming with the new wave, this is the new religion, right? This is the new way, this is the new religion. Women are probably going to adapt to it quicker than men, are going to go to it quicker than men. Two, a lot of what brought our ancestors to Christianity, people think that like the British came through Africa shooting. They really didn't, right? Colonialists did not really come in to Africa violently, right? What they did was they established the churches and they established the schools and they set up the colonial offices, right? So the people that worked at the colonial office were going to control everybody. And they said that in order for you to work at the colonial office, you have to go through the school. And in order for you to go to the school, you have to be baptized, your children. So a lot of women were like, well, I don't want my kids to be left behind, right? Because Igbo culture is very competitive. I don't want my children to be left behind. And so they rush to get their kids into the school. As they're getting their kids into school, they're also getting baptized, right? Chinua Achebe tells the story of his mother and his father getting into a huge fight because his mother got baptized and baptized him, and the father was against it. And the fight got so bad they ended up getting a divorce. But like she returns back to her father's village, and then there's like back, and if she refuses all the appeals, then it's a divorce. So the mother refused the appeals because the father and that kind of thing wouldn't convert. And so Chinua Achebe is a children, right? By way of the children. Associated with status. Speaking, gain status. So, for example, if I get a chieftaincy title and somebody, I don't know, got like a bachelor's degree, I still have more status in a room than that person. That person will have to get a PhD to be able to see me, right? On the men's side of things, okay? On the men's side of things. The colonialists will understand that if when you want to change a culture, you change the women. So there was more focus on the women, but the men kept the things that gave them taking a lot of the masquerade society. They kept it. You understand? Whereas the women were proposed the idea of gaining more status by way of the church, by way of your church. So they have. That's why, for example, the August meeting became a church meeting instead of the Onwa Alumchi tradition. That was the women. within the church, you can be the mother, and they have a title system in the church, right? Your children get status by way of education, Western education, right? And they get to lord over everybody else. And so it's a complicated thing, but men held on to the things that favor them. Women held on to the things that favor them too. But there was just so much more that favored men. And so that's really what it is, you know? Hope I didn't make that too complicated. I'm getting ripped right now, cutting up more than the wounds. We have to make a covenant with that land. Violation against the land itself. What is it to leave or dismiss it respectfully? So you give it a stick. I have an uncle. When we were little. So when a python, because there's a lot of pythons where I'm from, so sometimes the python will come into your house and you offer it something to eat, you offer it something to drink, you give it cola, and then somebody will come with a stick, or maybe you'll come, the man of the house, somebody will get a stick, and it will wrap itself around that stick, which means it's ready to go home. And then you'll walk back to Njaba or back to the bush and the forest, and you'll let the stick down there carefully. And my uncle they used to call my uncle whatever, RIP, one of my heroes. I've been cutting in and out. I see people do this all the time, so I got to figure out how they do it. I was cutting in and out, bad signal here, bad signal there, and then I can't. There's no visual. Okay, I'm going to keep talking though. He's out in the wilderness somewhere, so the connection is spotty. Yes, in and out. He's one with nature. You thought correctly. Yeah. All right, let me see if I can go back to civilization. I'm very close to Wi-Fi, so let me connect to Wi-Fi, see if that works. Let me connect to Wi-Fi and see if that works. Hold on, guys. Can you guys still hear me? If you guys can hear me, hit the heart button. Everything has gone quiet for me. So if you can still hear me, hit the heart button. If you can still hear me, hit the heart button. You guys can't hear me. Oh, wait, here they are. I see two. So only two people can hear me. Yeah? Only two people. Three. Someone said I stay away from the church. He's lost in the woods like that, Kanye. All right, I'm back with the Wi-Fi. I'm going to turn my Wi-Fi off, which means I'm going to disconnect for a little bit, and I'm going to come back. Let me know if you guys can hear me very well. Let me know if you can hear me well. Audio is back. Yeah, I'm back with the Wi-Fi. So if y'all can hear me, then good. Okay, good, good, good. We're all ears, but I can't see you. Yeah, yeah. I don't know why I can't turn the camera on. Maybe I'm not supposed to. I'm sweating like you wouldn't believe right now. Okay, your sound is going in and out about women and babies. I thought I heard my daughter speak to me when I was pregnant. So that's an example of communicating with the unborn. So women can speak to, see, hear, and experience their children before they come into life. Sometimes before they're conceived, often before they're conceived, right? I'll give you personal examples, right? And I don't come on here and make stuff up. My wife dreamt of my two children before they existed. My wife dreamt of my son before he was born. She was pregnant. She had a dream. It was before we knew his gender. He was a boy. And then she dreamt of my daughter. I can't remember what she said about my son specifically, but I remember the dream she had about my daughter. She said that she was huge, like she was gigantic, like just big, very long, like a disproportionately big baby, not like yeah, disproportionately big, right? And my daughter was born and she was super tall. Like I don't like she's still very very tall for her age now. Her friends come up to her like chest. She's very tall, huge, you know. And so yeah, my wife not only dreamt of her but just being massive. And when she was a baby, she was like the Michelin woman, you know. She had the rolls and everything, but she's kind of evened out a little bit more now. And she's just very tall and will probably be a very tall woman. We have a lot of tall women in my family. So, but my wife experienced both of them before they were born. She relayed the story to me, and they were both stories correlated with what ended up happening, who they ended up being, and that kind of thing. So, yeah, when you're pregnant, the thing is, when you're pregnant, right? Like when you're pregnant, or if you've ever had the gift of being around a woman who's pregnant, a lot of these things I'm saying, you're gonna see it, and if you're not seeing it, she's gonna see it, right? We talk about this thing where people are connected by spirit, by moi. And this is one of the things that blew my it's common. We don't think too much about it. It's common, but my wife and my sister, when they had their kids, they could be on the other side of town. Once the baby starts crying, they know they'll call. Like, hey, what's going on? So and so is crying or so and so crying. I'm like, how did you know? After a while, I was like, you know what? So that's another one of my teachers is witnessing women be pregnant and have children. That's another one of my teachers that let me know that this is all happening. You know, but I'm looking for you guys. Looks like you guys are all out of questions. Let me see if I've missed any. Now that my sound is back, you guys don't want to say nothing. All right, Brandon, take care. Huda. Hey, Daddy, I'm out here. I'm just finishing this. Yeah. Mhm. All right. See you, no visual. Okay, guys, looks like we're done. We're all ears. For some reason, it says I've only been live for 3 minutes, so I think I disconnected and came back. But either way, y'all, that should be it. Um, I think I'm gonna go live again tomorrow. We'll see, but if I do, I'll make an announcement. Just because this one there's no visual, and so I want to make sure that I'm doing this properly. I have been in the middle of a move, so I haven't been as on the ball with a couple of things as I should be. We are starting our traditional medicine class soon. The traditional medicine class will also have a boot camp for AFA, for reading AFA, divination. So I'll talk more about that the next time I'm live, which is tomorrow. But with that being said, guys, ono gade, ono geto, kabala ono tiraka, gade no wa, gade otu aneke, orie, na afọ na nkwọ. He said, all right, take care, everybody.